What's up, everyone? Brady Fio here, coming at you again with another album review, and today it's going to be Terminal Nation with Echoes of the Devil's Den. I'm a little late to the party on this one. It was released May 3rd of this year, and it is actually their fourth studio album, although it is my introduction to the band. I discovered them actually through their collaboration with Jesse Leach of Killswitch Engage on their track Merchants of Bloodshed, which is on this album. And discovering that song led me into this album, and wow. This is some of the best deathcore I have heard in a long time. This album is chock full of catchy, groovy riffs, stomping, in-your-face breakdowns, a menacing, evil vibe in the mood, some progressive tendencies at parts with a lot of synth sections thrown in there that you wouldn't expect, and just a vocal performance that is absolutely blistering. The opening cut and also the title track, Echoes of the Devil's Den, is maybe the best instance of that. It has this absolutely broody intro with those haunting synths kind of starting things out, and then you hear those guitars just creeping in and ascending until you get that kind of preview of the chorus when it's just the lead vocalist saying Echoes of the Devil's Den, and it kicks into this absolute monster of a riff. It has such a smooth flow and transition between some of the faster parts that are a bit more hardcore oriented or thrash oriented and those really slow, sludgy doom metal influenced sections. There's some like guitar overlays at the end that just make this song come to an epic finale. They really just kick the door down with this opening track. But that could also be a death sentence in some case, because if the best song is at the start of the record, it kind of might make everything else feel a bit more subpar. Luckily in this case, it does not happen. Track 2, written by the Victor, is a lyrical highlight from this album, easily. The lyrics in the song are very political, as are many of the songs on here. And I love just the brutal sound of this song and how the lyrics take on this really just evil take on the state of our country and where it is and how we have built our nation on others' suffering. My favorite lyric of the whole record is on this song when it says, "Not only is history written by the victor, the pages are inked in the blood of the defeated." That is an absolute fucking bar. There's some kind of hardcore yells in the bridge of the song that really kind of splits things up. Again, some great riffing. I love just that super melancholy, droning opening chord progression. There's a nasty breakdown at the end of the song as well. Track 3, Spikes Under the Bridge, really do this as well. Just the way that opening riff, how the guitars are absolutely groaning. This song is just so fucking depressing in its mood, and I fucking love it. And even though this is a deathcore album, like the vocal versatility that we're seeing so far is really good between the yells and the different sounding gutturals that the lead vocalist does on this record, as well as the high screams. Just vocally, even though it is fully screamed, the song is very versatile, and the album is versatile so far as well. And that No Reform is just the most blatant, blunt, anti-cop song I have ever heard. Like, they literally say on this song, "Fuck every cop that's ever fucking lived." And like, I'm not somebody who's anti-cop. Like, I'm not necessarily relating to these lyrics. I just love just how visceral they are. And this is a song that is a bit more faster paced, and it's a bit more chaotic sounding as opposed to kind of the slower, sludgier stuff that we've heard more of so far. This one just goes straight for the jugular. Empire in Decay starts out with another just nasty, evil sounding riff, and then it transitioned into a tempo change, which a lot of the songs I've talked about have done a really good job of doing as well. And the tempo changes feel very natural and smooth. They don't feel like they're kind of just pasted in. Rather, they feel like they are progressing the speed and the energy of the song, like they are meant to do. The midsection of this song has a really cool kind of stop and go part where one of the guitarists is just chugging along with the 16th notes while the other one is kind of echoing the drums and emphasizing the percussive elements of the guitar. The song is definitely one of the tracks on here that leans more to the death metal side of things than the hardcore side of things, which for a deathcore album, I feel like that's pretty important, because a lot of deathcore albums, ones that I don't particularly like, kind of are all breakdowns, and they lean way too far into the hardcore side of things, and they just don't put enough emphasis on the guitar playing. It's really refreshing to hear a deathcore album where the death metal side of deathcore is getting just as much, if not more, love than the hardcore part. And speaking of the focus on the guitars on this record, there's an instrumental track, Embers in Humanity, coming up next. And normally I'm not one that enjoys instrumental tracks or instrumental interludes, but I actually think this song's really cool. Like, those clean guitars, which sound so just moody and melancholy, transitioning into a very full sounding guitar solo. The song really goes somewhere, especially for an instrumental track. And this is a good change of pace for the album so far, which stylistically is starting to become a bit similar sounding. So for them to kind of dial it back at this point of the album is definitely a breath of fresh air. As is the next track on here, Merchants of Bloodshed. And I just singled out Empire of Decay as a song that caters more to the black metal fans on here. This song caters a lot more to the hardcore fans on here, but not in a way at all that makes it instrumentally uninteresting. Even in the way the song starts out, there's just a bit more atmospherics, and again, those kind of percussive style guitars are being utilized a lot more. And then about halfway through, you get just a yelling, almost preaching section, which I thought was really interesting. Which I think is Jesse Leach. It's hard to tell because there's a lot of like filters over it. This is followed by one of the catchiest breakdowns on the whole record. And then the song takes a complete 180 with just under 2 minutes left with this synth section, which then kicks into a very, very full and emotional outro with, of course, Jesse Leach's vocals on it, which, as a massive Killswitch Engage fan, I can't help but really enjoy. There's some dual vocal parts, and just the emotional finale of this song is a sonic highlight on this record, without a doubt. And then Bullet for a Stone is another highlight. It has this really well done and interesting kind of guitar layering where there's the percussive breakdown style riffing, but then there's also like these stoner metal riffs playing over it. It sounds super interesting. About 2 minutes through this song, you get this like random like piercing horror movie sound effect thrown in there, which I thought actually sounded great. This is another song with just a lot of evil sounding chord progressions, and adding that just little sound effect and sound, like, I thought was a really nice touch. It only lasts for about 5 to 10 seconds, but it adds a lot to the song. And then they really break things down hard to end it with that tremolo part, and then that, again, slow tempo breakdown. Just great song once again. Dying Alive has some very prevalent thrash influence in that opening riff, but then the second half of the song, that closing riff, is one of my favorite chord progressions on the record, which is another riff that is just super dark and evil sounding. And then Cemetery of Imposters switched things up vocally again, and he really does a lot more of his kind of yelling, barking style vocals. Immolation also has some cool evil sounding riffs and some more cool sound effects. And then the closing track, Release the Serpents, has some of the catchiest riffing on the album as well, just super bouncy. There's a bit more of a groove metal influence in them. And overall, I have very little negative to say about this album. This may be a bit redundant, considering this is a deathcore album, but some of the songs on here do blend together a little bit at times, more specifically towards the end. So I do wish they kind of introduced a few newer elements at the end, because tracks 1 through 8 are very, very solid as a unit. The production is a bit muddy at times, specifically in the guitars, mainly when there's vocals being sung over them, because when there are vocals present, it's a bit hard to tell what the guitars are doing. And although I do really like the dynamic vocal performance on here, the vocals are a bit unintelligible. Luckily, I am able to read the lyrics, and the lyrics on this record are absolutely amazing. This is easily a deathcore record I would recommend to any deathcore fans, and even any traditional death metal fans, which, let's just say, doesn't happen very often. And for me, this album gets a 26 out of 30. I really think the only improvements that could have been done are a slightly cleaner production and a bit more dynamics towards the end of the record. But I will definitely be checking out this band's older catalog, and I am excited for their next release. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and feel free to subscribe for more music-related content. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.